the empire boomed, its neighbors became wary. They knew that the growing tiger will gorge itself on the prey that it deems most vulnerable. Some dreaded the looming war and prayed that their fears were unjustified. Others prepared for it. The kingdom of Tambralinga, a vassal of the great Srivijayan Thalassocracy, felt particularly threatened by Suryavarman's ambition. The empire was surrounded by hostile neighbors, and conflict was imminent. It seemed that the only thing left to question was who would strike first. Suryavarman was wise enough to know that passivity would only lead to disaster. The various Burmese kingdoms to the west of the empire were hostile, but a potential ally lay beyond. The Cholas, a powerful dynasty based in the south of the Indian subcontinent, also desired to bring about the downfall of the Srivijaya. Dispatching an envoy laden with gifts could be enough to convince Rajendra Chola that an alliance with Suryavarman would be to his liking.
The road west is perilous. You may have your pick of as many troops as you can afford to pay with the gold that I have given you.
This mercenary force will accompany you on your journey west. This company of infantry is yours, my lord.
We have the men we need. Onwards! The bridge west has been repaired for us.
Our last ship is not fit to sail. These scouts will help you find another way to cross the river.
Địa bàn dễ, về lúc, quốc mục, trìm ả vút, xóm nâng đợp, về lúc, bá tin xóm nâng đợp, về lúc, xóm nâng đợp.
With these ships, we will seize control of the water and send any enemy vessels to the bottom of the river.
Nó bom ra nhé. Xóm nâng đợp, xóm dồn. Bá tin, xóm nâng đợp, trìm ả vút, quốc mục.
An enemy outpost lies to the west. I would advise you to take the southern route.
Xóm dồn, ba xóm nâng đợp. Bá tin, xóm nâng đợp. Địa xóm bá tin, trìm ả vút. Nó bom ra nhé, ba. Xóm nâng đợp, quốc mục.
Here they are. Do not let them reach the port.
Về lúc, quốc mục. Địa bàn xóm nâng đợp, bá tin. Ba.
Nó bom arnya plim trim trao. Atma nâng mimum tu.
Xóm dồn. Xóm nâng đợp. Bá tin.
Atma nâng mimum tu.
Sailor, book me passage on the nearest ship bound for Chola lands.
Despite the hardships of the journey through hostile territory, the diplomatic convoy arrived in Chola lands largely intact. Rajendra Chola was pleased with the gifts that the envoy lavished upon him. Particularly impressive was the Grand Chariot, a work fashioned by the finest craftsmen in Angkor. Generous offerings and well-chosen words go a long way with a magnanimous ruler. a bargain was struck, and the envoy returned to Angkor bearing news of the alliance. With the alliance made and the pieces on the board, conflict was inevitable. The Tambralingas themselves posed only a token threat, but they had the support of the immense naval empire of Srivijaya. The prowess of the Srivijaya navy was unmatched, but their coalition was at a strategic disadvantage. The Khmer forces threatened the enemy by land from the north and by sea from the east, while the Cholas struck out from the west. The enemy found themselves surrounded on all sides. Suryavarman sent word to the Chola force to establish a foothold on the Malay Peninsula. Taking the initiative, he ordered the outfitting of a massive navy to challenge the Srivijayans and Tambralingas for maritime supremacy. Everything hinged on the success of the Chola force that had landed on the mainland. If they could present a formidable enough threat and occupy the enemy land forces, Suryavarman would be able to wrest control of the water and launch a devastating amphibious invasion. If the Cholas were driven from their foothold, the Khmer would be forced to face down their opponents alone. A prospect that Suryavarman preferred not to contemplate.
Our Chola allies have established a foothold in Tambralinga lands. It must be held at all costs.
Batin
ពាក្យបញ្ជាចាចាអូខេអ្នកសាងសង់
Nobo Ranya
ត្រៀម
អ្នកប្រមូលខ្ញុំនឹងធ្វើវាអ្នកសាងសង់សួស្ដីអ្នកប្រមូល
The feeble Tambralingas are no match for our glorious armies. Even the Srivijaya Thalassocracy is no match for the Khmer Chola alliance.
Storms raged as wooden vessels rammed into one another, a deafening sound prefaced by the whistling of projectiles through the air. Thousands of men sank below the angry waves, never to rise again. The Chola land force fought bravely, holding to the last. Just as it seemed that they were to be defeated by the Tambralinga Srivijaya force, salvation arrived in the form of swarms of Khmer. Victory has a glorious taste. Over the course of a single conflict, the influence and power of the Empire were raised to unprecedented levels. With the maritime rivals of the Empire crushed, Suryavarman set his sights on the mainland. As the war with the Tambralinga Srivijaya alliance had progressed, it had not escaped his attention that rivals closer to home had been plotting and wishing for his ruin. The rulers of the various Burmese and Cham kingdoms slunk around in the shadows like disgraced cowards. Instead of recognizing the superiority of their larger neighbor, they deviously plotted its downfall and encouraged rebellion within it. This behavior was unacceptable. Suryavarman's enemies may have been too intimidated to face the Khmer juggernaut head-on, but Suryavarman had no reservations about challenging his neighbors. It was high time that the Empire saw further expansion. The Mekong and Chao Phraya rivers snaked through rich, fertile lands held by decadent, unstable kingdoms ripe for conquest. Triumph would add yet another achievement to Suryavarman's legendary military record.
Bountiful lands surround us, ripe for the taking. We shall build an empire to last 1,000 years.
Trin Rouge Roll.
អ្នកសាងសង់ អ្នកសាងសង់ អូខេ ពាក្យបញ្ជាត្រូវ
បាទភ្លាមបាទញាក់កាប់អស់
ចា ខ្ញុំនឹងធ្វើវា
A Srivijayan delegation has arrived, bearing 500 gold in tribute.
អ្នកសាងសង់
ពាក្យបញ្ជាភ្លាមញាក់សាងសង់អេស៊ូសទេ
A Srivijayan delegation has arrived, bearing 500 gold in tribute.
ញាក់សាងសង់
ពាក្យបញ្ជាអ្នកសាងសង់
We wish to make war on the Champa, but our coffers are depleted. If you pay us 1,000 gold, we will be able to pursue this campaign. A bargain well struck. Our enemies are mustering as we speak.
អេស៊ូសបាទញាក់សាងស
បាទ
ង់
បាទទីន
ទ្រីមញាក់សាងសង់
Defend the wonder from the enemy onslaught.
ត្រៀមរួចរាល់ចា
Srivijayan delegation has arrived, bearing 500 gold in tribute.
Hegemony is a wonderful thing. The power and prestige of the Khmer Empire reached new levels under Suryavarman I, and all prospered. Despite being known as a great conqueror, Suryavarman was not simply a militaristic aggressor. His reign was marked by vast improvements in the general infrastructure of the empire, and an emphasis on religious toleration. He erected numerous palaces and temple complexes and ruled benevolently. His legacy lives through these structures, the pride of our citizens and the strength of the Khmer Empire. This legacy is a cause worth defending. It is this notion of greatness that you must invoke to electrify the minds of the common soldiery.